Hello everyone, this is Commander Megan and welcome to my channel. Yesterday, the 1st of June, Warhammer community put out a new article. The new 40k, the game you love, but better. We'll see about that. But I can only say I'm stoked, I'm hyped about it, and I hope you are too. Still gonna say, I like the new logo. Opinions vary, but my opinion, I like it. It's a little bit more clean cut, and actually I like that. Grimdark does not mean rough and edgy. Warhammer 40,000, the new edition. I'm gonna say a little bit of opinions, not necessarily all mine, about this art style in the meantime. The Warhammer 40,000 community has adopted for a long time already, actually, a little bit more cartoonish art style, and now it slowly is more prevalent. I think I've already always noticed it, but it seems more prevalent to me, and for some people that is an irksome change. I can understand that this style does not really invoke the grim darkness of the far future. However, they are very consistent in this funny, cartoonish art style, not just for 40k, also for Age of Sigmar, a game that I might be talking a bit on later on in my YouTube career, because I have quite recently started an Age of Sigmar army as well. But I'm not going to do much on that compared to 40k. Back on this style. Yes, it's cartoony. However, it does not take away from the grim darkness. I will make a little bit of a sidetrack here. The art is very reminiscent to Fallout. And Fallout is very much post-apocalyptic, grim, dark world. And with the art I mean how they introduce you to the world of Fallout. Their cartoonish way of explaining the vaults and stuff like that. So yeah, I don't think it's a big of a problem. I think it's a bit lighthearted, yes. You either like it or you don't, and that's personal preference, and that's all fine. Please leave down below in the comments what you think of this art style. I say it's not a problem, but that does not mean you have to like it. Right, it's official, the new edition of the Warhammer 40,000 is on its way. What's more, it offers our best, most immersive and enjoyable gaming experience to date. But what changes have been made for the current edition? Well, this series is going to cover exactly that. And in our first installment, we're taking a more general look to the changes made to the system as a whole, with a peek at a few pages from the new rulebook. First off, the playtesters present an overview of their experience working on the game's new edition, putting the rules through their paces and fine-tuning them for their ultimate form. There are a few of these playtesters that I recognize: Tabletop Tactics, and I believe Vanguard Tactics. Some others are probably from events that I do not know. If you do know, please leave them down below in the comments. I'm really interested to know where they are from, because different opinions are a good thing, as long as they are brought with clarity. Let's keep it at that. It's good to see that some of these playtesters are actually people who play the game a lot, who have some clout in the hobby, meaning it's not just GW, we want to do this, so we do this. Right, let's see their impressions, this little 3.5 minute video.
it's been great and terrifying at the same time.
Yeah, it's a fair statement.
Getting that email and getting together with the rest of the team and kind of wrapping our minds around the changes and the addition was just kind of a heady moment.
I've played 40K since I was 12, 13, something like that, late 90s. So kind of getting to be a part of, helping in some small way to create the game that I've kind of grown up on and played for 20 years has been an awesome experience.
I think the change I like the most is probably what's happened to monsters and vehicles. I think that in 8th edition, maybe these felt a little bit underwhelming, but in 9th, they feel so much better. They feel a lot more viable, and they feel much more representative of what those units should be on the battlefield.
When you're building your table now, it won't just be to make it look pretty.
Yeah.
It really will depend on the placement of certain pieces as to how it's going to play out in the rest of the game. And I'm really excited about that. I've missed that a lot.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. I think the terrain now, more than ever, it really has functionality in the game.
Yeah.
It's got a definite rule set, which will, depending on how you play tactically, you can really use to your advantage, which is going to be really, really exciting.
I would say that I'm excited to see the community on a single unified streamlined system. This ranges from the previously mentioned terrain system and traits to unified missions, to even just streamlined, easier to digest rules from the rulebook itself. It should put the community on the same page.
The Crusade system is the most exciting development in 40K for me in recent memory. It is the most fun that I've had in 40K probably ever.
Oh, I'm so excited about Crusade. As you know, we are incredibly passionate about narrative-driven games here at Tabletop Tactics, so any system that can allow me to enhance that even more gets a double thumbs up in my books.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah, absolutely. It feels actually now that we've, for the first time, got a fully fleshed out narrative system, the requisition point system, the ranks and battle honors. You actually have an experience table, if you like, that you take forward through every game.
Yeah.
You can get battle scars.
Yes.
Your characters can live and die on this battlefield. You get real experience, and because you literally do it in every game, your story is being written with every game you play.
I am totally stoked to see the public get a hold of this new edition.
Being able to try and help shape and mold things to be a little bit more what the community is looking for, I think is really exciting.
Whilst still having all of those levels of flavor and complexity of having the different armies and factions, everything feels very Warhammer 40,000.
Yes.
But now it feels like you're going to get into that action as quickly as possible, and every sort of army, every type of army is going to be rewarded for doing so. So when you say, what are you most excited about with 9th edition, it's quite literally everything.
Yeah.
First of all, sorry about the notification coming through. And that was the first impressions of, the playtesters. One thing I really take out of it is they really like the Crusade system. Sure, Tabletop Tactics are more about narrative gaming, but I find it curious how they all are like, this is a good system. It makes me curious how well it actually is. I never really liked the way it worked in previous editions. It always felt a little bit of bland, and there were a few drawbacks, but that was it. It only actually worked within a campaign, and now they actually promoted that it doesn't need to be for a campaign. And that really has my interest, because I do like narrative games. It's basically what tipped me over to Warhammer 40K very, very much, the narrative of it. And even though I quite recently started doing much more competitive play as well, doesn't mean I dislike narrative play now all of a sudden. I remember some of the old missions very fondly. Like the ambush mission, that was one of my favorites. It didn't matter if I was attacker or defender in that mission. It was such a brilliant mission to play. But it was so much of a narrative play. What I also get out of it is that for competitive play it seems a lot more streamlined over the world. At least that's what they're saying. I still think there will be a local meta. However, that is more depending on preference of units than the rule set. Especially if what about terrain is coming true. Terrain will be much more prevalent in the game. You can no longer shoot through terrain even though it's open, depending on the tags of the terrain, obviously. And I like that. I wonder still how it will be implemented more precisely. Will you be able to shoot in it but not through it? Will you be able to shoot in it depending what kind of terrain? And all that. But we'll need to wait a little bit more for that. All in all, yeah, it sounds good. It sounds a step up from 8. And I already think 8 is a real good addition. I still say 4th was one of the most balanced editions I ever played so far. 7th was the most fun but too imbalanced editions I played so far. And I really enjoyed 8th. So let's see what 9th will bring. Cool, huh? Sounds like there's a lot to look forward to. We know the core rules are being updated, clarified, and have grown to be a bit longer than current edition's 8 pages. This is largely due to additional examples and hints and tips to make sure rules are clear and easy to use. The way the rules have been presented, even the ones that don't change, have been streamlined and updated to make it easy to understand and reference before, during and between games. This sums it up all nicely. So they changed away from the primer. It will be now 8 page, grown to a bit longer than the current 8 page, so it is a bit more, but most of it is clarifications to make it more prevalent what it is. So yeah, it's in preview picture always difficult to watch. We'll see. It's still the game you love, just better. Another example of this fundamental structure of battle rounds. It will look very familiar to all of you experienced gamers out there, but with a new twist. We got a command phase. Don't think this will be really much readable. Out of phase rules. Some rules allow models or units to move, shoot, charge, fight, or attempt to manifest a psychic power outside of the normal turn sequence. If such a rule explicitly mentions to do so as if it were a different phase than the current one, then any rules that are normally used in that phase, for example this would be the shooting phase, apply when that unit shoots. Okay, that's a change. The only exception to these are stratagems that specifically... Okay, yeah. Sorry about the bad reading. You cannot use a stratagem that says use this stratagem in the shooting phase to affect a unit that is shooting as if it were in the shooting phase. When resolving an out of phase rule, all rules that normally apply in that phase continue to apply. Phase specific stratagems cannot be used when resolving out of phase rules. That is a good clarification actually. That's a real good clarification and I like it. Okay. The command phase is a quick new addition to the turn sequence. In this phase, Battleforged armies will acquire new command points and spend the ones they have on certain stratagems. Okay, first of all, command phase is a quick new addition. Doesn't mean that it is quickly added. It is a phase that is quickly played. It's more or less to do, I reckon, especially the wording later on, certain stratagems, to play those stratagems at the start of the turn, at the start of the battle, all those kinds of stratagems, like combat squads. Just a quick and easy one to at the top of my head. That's before the game one. So in that way, if okay, this is the point where I play those. Then I'll start the turn. Well, you already started the turn. Then I go to movement. So at the start of the movement phase, those stratagems will be more likely be changed to the command phase. To make it more obvious and clear when you need to play them. Basically how the psychic phase became its own phase. And that was in the beginning was when, oh, I forgot my psychic powers. Yeah, sorry, you're now too late because you're already shooting. Yeah, but I haven't shot yet. Stuff like that. To actually say, okay, you're done with your phase, you're going to the next phase. I'm sorry, next phase. What I do find is interesting is that armies will acquire new command points in those phases. I really wonder now how they implement command points. They already hinted at that unlocking new codices, new or more detachments will cost you command points. It kind of sounds like you start with a small pool of command points. So in that way you can no longer expend all your command points in one turn. So, yeah. You need to phase them out over different turns. So a little bit of speculations. Let's say you start out with 5 command points at the beginning. A new detachment costs 1 command point. A specialist detachment costs 1 command point. And a few things you really want to start with cost also 1 or 2 command points. Meaning you have in turn 1 only 1 command point. That's saying if the pool is starting with 5 and if it actually works this way. That is an interesting way of dealing with command points. It is an interesting way, if they do something akin to that, to stop certain powerhouses, Death Stars, and the likes like that. For example, the new stratagem that will be added for tactical reserves that makes you put units into reserves. Sure, you can do it, but it will cost you on the first turn anyway. So you cannot do it, for example, with Guard with your whole army because you got so many command points you don't actually care. It is interesting to see how that will work. I'm curious. I'm really curious about this now. Armies will acquire new command points and spend the ones they have on certain stratagems. Then also comes the question, do you need to spend them all? Or can you save them up for later? For example, you have 1 command point, turn 1, in the next command phase you get another 3, so you have 4 now. And then turn 3, you have saved them a few up, so you got around 5, used maybe 1 or 2, and your opponent have used them all. And now is your time to shine, because you're a close combat army playing against a shitty army. So I hope that is also a little bit of it. More nuance than I bring in now, obviously. But yeah. I'm really curious about how that will work, how that will pan out. I can only say curious because I lack information on the subject yet as far as now, but it is really interesting to see. We'll have a close look at the command points specifically later this week. Stay tuned all week for various insight into the changes of the new edition, and if you haven't done so, head over to the Warhammer 40,000 website to sign up for our exclusive countdown email to keep up to speed with our latest news and reveals. Obviously they want to promote their website as well, which is not a bad thing because the community website is basically a promotion website. Right, that was it for today. I wonder what the new articles will be talking about. The most interesting ones I'll make a video about. If you really want me to make a video about a certain point that I have not done yet, please comment on this video or any after this one, and I will read it. And I will do so if possible. But if an article is not interesting enough, I will probably skip it, unless obviously you ask for it. With all that said and done, I will say thank you all very much for your attention. I hope you all stay safe, and I will see you all next time. Bye bye.